Hi everyone. In this video, I want to talk about how to become an Excel super user. First off, a little bit of background. My name is Havish Madhupati. I run an analytics firm called Havish and Consulting, and I work with different clients handling spreadsheet modeling, data visualization, and workflow automation for them. In addition to my corporate trainings and consulting, I also engage with business schools throughout the year through different engagements. So I take a few summer interns every year. There are dozens of students who do their live projects with me. I judge analytics competitions, and I also take workshops, guest lectures at various B schools around the country. I have been working with Excel for 20 years now, and it has been quite a journey. And the truth is that I was always very good with Excel, but in 2011, 2012, I was a little cocky. I was working in the corporate. I knew Excel better than people around me, and it helped me quite a lot. And I used to feel that I was really, really good at it. And the worst part about knowledge is that you don't know what you don't know. So the purpose of this video is to make all of you aware about what all is happening in the world of Excel. Excel is a very funny application. While everybody talks about it and understands that it is very important, especially with B school students, the perception of Excel is that, sure, this is something that is used in the corporate, but it will be replaced or there will be a better way of doing things. And I've been hearing this for I don't know how many years. The truth is that Excel is really good at what it does, which is that it is a sandbox. It has something for everyone. It is something for that small business owner who just wants to create a to-do list and an invoice tracker. And it is also used for financial modeling by a Fortune 50 company. That's the beauty and that's the complexity of Excel, that it has something for everyone. And that is what confuses a lot of people. Is it supposed to replace any other tool? Not quite. I think Excel is its own animal, while Google Sheets is an alternative. For a variety of reasons, it has not picked up. And one doesn't expect that Google Sheets, being a cloud first tool, will pick up as much as Excel ever. So Excel remains nearly a monopoly in the market. So I want to talk about what all does Excel cover. The first thing that everybody understands is formulas and functions, which refers to writing formulas, putting dollar signs, creating complex formulas, VLOOKUP, offset, index, match. And then a lot of people would have heard of VBA, even if you have not worked on it, which is Visual Basic for Applications, which is the programming backend of Microsoft Office. And then the next couple of things probably might be new to some of you. And especially if you're a B school student, it is very important to know these things. We have Power Query, which is an ETL tool, which uses its own language called mQuery. And we have Power Pivot, which is a data modeling engine, which uses a language called DAX, Data Analysis Expressions. Then we also have TypeScript and JavaScript. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about Python as well. So let me go over them one by one. I have an Excel file here. We all understand how to write formulas and functions and build calculations and models. If we click on formulas, we have a list of functions available here. There are over 600 functions available in Excel. Something new that has come in Excel is dynamic arrays. So if I quickly Google this for you, this is dynamic arrays. Dynamic arrays are a concept in computer science, and they were introduced in Excel about a year and a half back. And this is something very, very important. Do keep in mind that this is only available for Excel for Microsoft 365. So this will not work on other versions of Excel, which is 13, 16, 19, and so on and so forth. You can Google it and read more about it. A lot of advanced Excel users are also not aware about dynamic arrays. And the reason is that this is a behind the scene computation engine that has changed. For example, before the concept of dynamic arrays were there, if I try to multiply three cells A1 colon A3 with a single cell, I would get a value error. Since it doesn't make sense, I can't multiply three items with a single item. But now it has the ability to spill into multiple cells using a single formula. So as you can see, a normal formula can utilize dynamic arrays. And then we have special functions, which is filter, we have sort, we have unique, which use the concept of dynamic arrays very effectively. Do keep in mind that you might not have these functions depending on which version of Microsoft Office you're working on. So this is the new thing that has come in formulas and functions, but broadly, Excel is Excel. We all know how it works. Let me talk a little bit about what Visual Basic is. On any Excel file, we have a developer tab, which is hidden by default because Microsoft assumes that a normal user will not need to work on this. If I click on File, Options, and then Customize ribbon, we can enable the developer tab. This is only a one-time thing that you have to do. The developer tab allows you to run codes, which are Visual Basic codes. And just to give you a glimpse of how it looks, this is how Visual Basic coding looks. Now, the question is that some of you might be wondering, oh my God, is this coding? Absolutely, it is. It is a proper hardcore coding. What is it doing on Excel? The fact of the matter is that at the back end, Excel works on Visual Basic. So every operation that you're performing, it is being executed via VBA code as well. As you can see, I have even created a tab of my own called Havisham Consulting, where I have some special options that I have created, which are not created by Microsoft, but have been created by me. As an example, if I click on split screen, it makes two copies of my Excel file, something which otherwise would not be possible. If I have multiple sheets with me, let us say 5 sheets, and I click on table of content, it creates a table of content like this. Now, VBA is very useful, but the question is, a lot of people say, should we learn it or should we not learn it? So there's a lot of discussion around this. So if you search, will VBA die? You can see that a lot of people like to talk about this in forums. See, Excel has been around for 35 years. So people have spent decades working on Excel and building their skill sets on VBA. So as you can see, the short answer is that Microsoft is moving towards JavaScript, but VBA is not going to go away, at least for the time being. See, if you simply do a Google search and you say VBA, you will see that Visual Basic for Applications was declared as a legacy language in 2008, which means that even though Microsoft is supporting it, it's not really building more and more capabilities in it. So it's in a very interesting space, right? Because languages never die. And VBA especially cannot die because every version of Excel which is out there in 750 million computers in the world has VBA in it. People might not be using it, that is a different matter. But you have to understand that Excel users probably, in fact, not probably, but definitely are more than the combined users of Python and R and all other tools put together. That's the beauty of Excel. So it's a very underutilized area. Is it difficult to learn? Absolutely, because it is programming. But at the same time, if you are working in finance, especially if you're working in any work profile which requires you to do automation, VBA is a very important skill set. And I can tell you from my experience, having consulted various organizations, the additional learning that you have in VBA, so how much more you learn of VBA will always help you. There is a positive ROI. So never tell yourself that you can invest your time in something else. I mean, I guess you can invest your time in something else, but any time that you invest in VBA will be fruitful. I can assure you of that. For VBA, there is a channel that I recommend on YouTube, which is VBA Macro Mastery. I'm sorry, Excel Macro Mastery. There's a guy called Paul Kelly, and strongly suggest that you watch this channel. I will be sharing all these links with you in the video description. The next thing I want to talk about is Power Query. Power Query is a ETL tool. And what Power Query does is it gives you the capability of connecting Excel to different types of data sets and transforming it. Let me try to open the correct website for you. All right, let's go to the official documentation. So powerquery.microsoft. And you can see it's a data prepping tool. One can say it's a little similar to KNIME and Alteryx. The idea here is that you are automating your workflow. So it's a little bit like SQL, it's a little bit like different tools, but it is its own thing. So you have to look at it separately. So it connects to different data sources, it can connect to APIs, you don't need to code it, and it allows you to do different types of transformations on your data. As you can see, it is available on Excel, Power BI, CDS, which is Common Data Service, Power Automate, and SQL Server Analysis Services. Let me give you an example of how it looks. In the Data tab, we have this group called Get and Transform Data. So on Excel, this is Power Query. In Power BI, Power Query is called Power Query. And as you can see in Get Data, we have the ability to connect to different types of data sources. I can even connect directly to Power BI, to online services, Azure, different types of databases, to the web, and so on and so forth. I don't want to do an example since that will take more time, but this is the interface. And as you can see, we have a set of different operations that we can perform to transform and prepare the data. So things like merge, join, which are not available on Excel, are now available in Get and Transform Data, which is Power Query. The third thing is Power Pivot, which is a data modeling engine. For this, I will have to create a small example to explain you how it works. I'm just writing country, and let's say we have the United States, and we have India, and we again have India and United States. And we have the state here. So let's say California and Texas. And in India, we have, let's say, Bihar and Delhi. Now imagine we have the sales for these states, and I'm just putting some random values here. So this is my state and this is my sales. The question is, what do I do if I want to see the total sales for each of the country? So what is the total for US and what is the total for India? To do this, I need Power Pivot. To enable this, you will have to go to File, click on Options, go to Add-ins, select COM Add-ins, click on Go, and you will have to select Power Pivot here. Again, this is a little bit like the developer tab. Since Microsoft assumes that very few people will be using this, they have disabled it, so you have to enable it manually. So very quick example, let's make this into a table, and this is also a table. Now when I make a pivot table on insert, when I click on pivot, I will make sure to select this option called add the data to the data model. And what that will allow me to do is to create a pivot table where I can see both my tables, table 1 and table 3. Now, when we select the country in rows and we put the sales in values, you would notice that it is showing us the same value because there is no relationship between the two tables. And now on Power Pivot, we can click on Manage. And in the diagram view, I can create a link between the state and the state, which is a one-to-many relationship. And as you can see, I'm able to create a model like you do on Access and SQL on Excel, right? So if you did not know about this, this is a game changer because this allows you to combine multiple data sets into a singular pivot table. So while Power Query and Power Pivot are different topics, in a lot of projects, these two topics are integrated with each other. And also now this allows you to build these calculations inside the data model. And these calculations are not Excel calculations. As you can see, we have different types of calculations that you would not find on Excel. For example, same period last year. To read more about this, again, you can quickly Google this, Power Pivot. Power Pivot is a data modeling tool. It's available on different versions of Excel, and it essentially allows you to create relationships between different tables and run calculations on it. I would also recommend that you look at an unofficial website. I mean, not the official Microsoft website, called DAX.guide. DAX is the language that we're using, which is data analysis expressions. And this is hitting multiple birds with one stone. Since DAX works not just on Excel, but it works on Power BI, SQL Server, Excel. As a matter of fact, it even works on Visual Studio and Microsoft Azure. So here you have a list of nearly all the functions available with a description and some links where you can find some examples. DAX.guide. Now comes the big one. Very, very few people know about this. But Microsoft, over the last 5-6 years, has been transitioning Excel to TypeScript. For those of you who do not come from a coding background, TypeScript is a superset. So for simplicity, let's say it's almost like JavaScript. And it is developed and maintained by Microsoft. So it is a different programming language, but it is almost interchangeable with JavaScript. But what is it? How does it work? Where do I see this on Excel? On Excel, if I click on Insert, we have Get Add-ins. So this is like a marketplace where you can find different add-ins available. And these have not been created on Visual Basic. They have been created on TypeScript. And you have something fantastic called the Script Lab, which is a Microsoft Garage project. So if you add it, the Script Lab will appear like this. And here you can see that it opens an IDE, which is an integrated development environment, where you can see the TypeScript code directly inside your Excel file. And you have many samples that have been given to you. Very cool, right? For example, if I select a range and I click on run, you would notice that it selects the range and colors it yellow. It's a very silly example, but it helps you understand how I can use TypeScript to catch the Excel object model and do an operation. This is available to all users. You just have to insert the add-in. And see, this gives you the ability to do fantastic things. For example, I have an add-in here, which is my people graph, which is created by Microsoft. And you can see that this is essentially a web page that is being displayed using HTML and CSS inside my Excel file. And the best part is I can connect it to my own data. For example, if I just write 10, 50, and 25, and I select my data, let's just call this A, B, and C, click on create. You will notice that it creates an infographic like this. And there are lots of options available. I can change the type, theme, and the shape. And how is all this working? This is working because now we are able to essentially display a web page inside Excel. Again, a wonderful area, and this is going to change so much of how we work on Excel. Because things that earlier Excel was not capable of, which is to create these type of charts and connect to the internet. I mean, I guess you can do it somewhat with Power Query, but now you're able to do it extensively. And the final thing I want to talk about is also Python. So Python, Excel. Let me also share the TypeScript link with you. Okay, so if you look at Python along with Excel, you will see that we have, let me just try to quickly find it. Right, so it is PyXLL, which allows you to write Excel add-ins in Python. I'm not going to talk too much about it. You can go to the website and have a look at it and see how it works, right? Definitely something you should have a look at. Let's take a breather and try to understand what is an advanced user. Now, see, it depends on your profile, the organization you're working with, and what you need to do on a day-to-day basis. But the bottom line is that if there is a more efficient way of working and you're not doing it, then it is not an excuse that you were not aware of it. Organizations, especially, are very lethargic. Organizations take a lot of time to transition and to upskill and to relearn. And there are a variety of factors for that. But especially as a B school student, you guys have to prepare yourself not just for the next couple of years, but for the next 5, 10 years. The pace at which technology advances and data is, you're bombarded with more and more data, means that auto AI and auto ML is going to become very commonplace in a few years. That means the role of a data analyst is not going to be so much about data cleaning and preparing and writing formulas. It's going to be more about understanding how to use the right tool in what case. So my advice is to learn a little bit of everything. And like I always say, you don't need to be an expert at it, but you should at least know what it is so that you don't feel left out of a conversation. At least pull on that string, know what it is. For example, I don't work on Python and Excel together. I mean, I do work on a library on Python called OpenPyXL, but I don't use Excel Python add-ins on Excel. But I know what it is. And I know that the day I need it, I can always go to that correct website and learn it. So just do a little bit of shallow reading so that you at least understand what these topics are. Now comes the big one, how to learn so much. Learn from multiple sources. There is a lot of personality that different people have, and there is a lot of personality in the way developers create their Excel files and analysts create their Excel files. So follow multiple Excel tutorials on YouTube. Don't go to one person and depend on that one person only. There are certain gurus of Excel in the world who are excellent, but at the same time, I feel learning from multiple sources is a good idea. Curate the right content. If you notice, I have bookmarks saved, and there is so much that I have saved over the years. And I know exactly what is where because everything has been beautifully cataloged. And I do this for literally everything that I work on. This is a very important thing. You might find a wonderful website and a great blog, and you might forget it. Searching on Google is a skill, and I'm really good at it. And I have become good at it because I've trained myself to become good at it. So please learn to curate your own content. Believe me, curating your own content is also a USP. Compared to other people with more experience, if you know where the better content is, you have an upper edge. Read books. It might seem very odd, but especially to learn more advanced topics, fundamental learning is very important. And there is no better way to do that than to read books. Deconstruct templates. There are hundreds of templates available online. Maybe if you're smart, you can also borrow some templates from people in different organizations and try to see how they have created their files. That is a great way of understanding not just how to build formulas, but also how to construct projects on spreadsheets. Value the mistakes. No time is wasted. If you're spending 5 hours fine tuning that formula and you don't give up and you say, I'm not going to take a shortcut and write two small formulas, I want to write that one complex formula. Believe me, that time is never wasted. Sometimes I've spent 2 hours trying to build a formula, finally realizing that I was on the wrong track, or maybe it is not possible at all, the way I was envisioning it. But it is still valuable. You know why? Because I have learned how not to do it. So tomorrow, if I have a similar situation, I know that this is not something that will work. A lot of people feel very bad when they spend a lot of time thinking, am I wasting my time? No time is wasted on Excel if you're learning from it. And see, you don't just learn from what works properly, you also learn from what does not work properly. Solve challenges for others. Very important. I have always done this. I have taken out time. I have always been approachable to the point where people have called me at 2 a.m. in the night and asked me to solve their work for them. It is a great exercise. And the reason is that there is a context to what you're doing. And especially when you work with different organizations, functional areas, and there are different requirements, there is a lot of learning that comes from experience, right? And that's not something you can read from a book or from YouTube. So just focus on this. That's what I wanted to talk about. I hope all of you have a little more clarity in terms of how to proceed with it. Obviously, it's a journey, it's not a destination. By the time you learn 5 things, 10, 50 more changes would have happened on Excel. As a matter of fact, Excel has just introduced something called Lambda, which came 3 days back. And this is what developers are calling as probably the most powerful function in Excel. If you have worked with Lambda on, let's say, Python, you know what it is. It allows you to build your own custom functions without having to write any code. So no Visual Studio, no Visual Basic, no Power Query, nothing, right? This is the link that again I'll be sharing with you. I'm sure in a little bit more time this will become um, uh, rolled out for everyone else. Right now, it has been released to a very small set of people, but we expect that this will get rolled out in some time to other groups a little by little. Right. So just remember, it's a moving target. It's not that you have to learn. There's a list of 100 things that you have to take one by one. So don't be worried about the fact that there is so much to do. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey. Make sure to cherish whatever you learn. But I think the litmus test is that no week should go by where you feel that, oh, I look back at the week and I feel that I've not learned something new. As long as you feel that you're learning something new, you're honest to yourself, you're not cheating yourself, I think you're on the right track. I know it does not seem possible to do so much, but you start somewhere and then a little by little you're able to um, absorb all this information. And especially in the beginning, it might seem very disjointed and scattered, but once you learn things in different pieces, they all start to add up together. So all the very best, everyone. And my name is Havish Madhupati. Um, I've been blessed with a very unique first name and a last name. So any questions that you have, we'll be more than happy to connect on LinkedIn. And I hope you have fun watching my other YouTube videos as well. Bye-bye.